Bioma. I'm a Biafran, and by all classification, we remain advancing, we remain watchful, we remain resolute in our quest for freedom. And of course, nothing is greater than freedom, because in freedom lies any other thing one is seeking in life, and that's why we are ever proud of demanding for our freedom as a people. And I think it's a just cause, it's a pure cause, irrespective of various attempts in different quarters to give it a wrong presentation. We remain who we are, and I must confirm if I'm being received loud and clear, if my voice is coming out loud and clear, so that we move ahead for today's talk, which has to do with the pre-referendum campaign which the elites of Nigerian society have taken. And it's laughable that yes, thank you. It's laughable that Osibanjo, Atiku, Tinubu, and all the rest of them haven't gotten the signal, the strong pressure from international community as regards to the demand of referendum by the Biafran people, have decided to do their own thing in a more laughable way, because you can't see the reason why they will start campaigning against BIAs, when they refuse to officially make it public to their gullible citizens that they're already under pressure, to have the Biafra referendum conducted. I think most of us do not understand what is playing out here, that these guys have decided to go into campaign, having received a strong signal, having received strong pressure from the international community, from those around them, that the freedom of the Biafran people is unstoppable, haven't been convinced that not even their military formation will stop the restoration of Biafra, not even the attempts, to bully the Biafran people into submission will stop the restoration of the Biafran nation. They have decided to activate this, what I call soft approach. And what is this soft approach all about? You can see for the few weeks now, there have been a serious campaign, not just driven by the common citizens of Nigeria, not just driven by Nigerian media agents, but is being spearheaded by the political class of Nigeria. We're going to make an extensive analysis for you people to understand what is playing out today. that there is a heavy pressure on the side of Nigerian government, and it's obvious to them that, like the way Gumai said, the Sheikh Gumai said that nothing will stop Nigeria from disintegration, and the North is going to suffer. I want to say this, that these guys have already gotten the signal, and we must respect the fact that they are privy to sensitive information. They are privy most times to even classified information. Some of the information that are not at the public domain, they get it. And laughable enough, instead of them to communicate to the generality of Nigerians that they are under pressure to conduct Biafra referendum, they are under pressure from international community to use a pacifist approach towards solving the Biafran problem. Instead of them to tell the Nigerian people what is at stake, what is playing out, they decide to start campaigning against BIAZ, trying to tell the Biafran citizens that any moment the referendum comes up, please let us remain one. Atiku came up with that story. I haven't gotten the signal that eventually Nigeria is going to throw in the towel to the international pressure. Atiku started pleading that let us not go to a separate road. But before Atiku even said this, the vice president have said in a chameleonic approach that if the parts that made up Nigeria decide to go their separate ways, that no part will survive outside the rest of the part. So you could see, if Nigeria unity is not threatened, Osibanjo wouldn't have come to public occasion and start advising everyone to see the need for us to vote for one Nigeria in the upcoming referendum. I know why I say upcoming referendum, because I know and I understand that the world is really putting on pressure on them. You can see UN has made a strong paradigm shift from addressing Biafrans, as people under Nigeria, to addressing them as a Biafran region. I don't know if my voice is now better. Mazio Mekas, you can help me and confirm if my voice is now better, so that I can raise the voice a bit more. So I think very important. Let me know if I'm heard clear, so that we'll move ahead. Okay. Cherry, yes, good evening from here, Cherry Heart. So we must march forward. So Osibanjo came up and in a chameleonic approach, yes, thank you, Osmark International. So in a chameleonic approach, he came up and said, look, no area will survive independently outside each other. Why is Osibanjo making that statement? If the unity of Nigeria is not in a severe threat, if Asrock is not receiving unusual pressure, why would Osibanjo say that? Why would Atiku follow up Osibanjo's assertion by saying, Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, please let's come together and move ahead? Why would, even though nobody could say this, thank you, Annie, why would Tinubu, in his arrogancy, in his anti-Igbo nature, a man who just in the past election disfranchised our people, just few months ago, why would Tinubu, day before yesterday, asking, begging for unity of Nigeria? Guys, BIAFRANS, understanding that these guys are under heavy international pressure. They don't know what to do. But I would have advised them to tread on the path of dignity by enlightening the generality of Nigerians of the present state that Nigeria is into, rather than, walking around effortlessly. You cannot see the game they are playing. Look at the game they are playing. They understand that the permutation in number 10 Darwin Street, I'm talking about UK, is not going to favor them because Boris is a pro-Israel and has a superb relationship with the United States. And UK presently, as it is, would not want to experience cold relationship with Israel and the United States, as was seen when Theresa May was there. So Abuja understood that there is a heavy international conspiracy ongoing against them. So in their own smartness, look at the game they are just coming up with. Let's just look it from this angle. Let's say this way. The game they are coming up with is, do we just move ahead and carry up this campaign before the generality of Nigerians will understand what is happening? Let us address to the heart of this Biafran people by not even speaking, allowing the common Nigerians to appeal to them. Look at the whole game. They don't want the common Nigerians to appeal to Biafrans and say, please, on the upcoming referendum, which Abuja is going to concede to, please don't vote for exit. They now say, if we, the elite, those they are seeing as their haters, look at the mental game they are operating on. If them we are seeing, the Tinubus, the Sibanjos, the Atikus and all the rest of them, that if they come out and be the ones to appeal to us, that perhaps we will say, oh, they are humble, they are not even wicked, they are kind. So can't we reconsider voting on our exit? And maybe let us vote under one entity. Hence, Tinubu has just appealed. Hence, Atiku has humbled himself. Hence, Osibanjo has humbled himself and appealed. So that is the game at work now. But it is hard time. We must keep on sensitizing ourselves, sensitizing our people, letting our people to understand that come rain, come sun, they are going to vote in determination of their fate. So don't mind this smart game these guys are playing, trying to, start up the pro-Nigeria campaign, even when their citizens are not aware of the hot seat they are sitting on. So you now understand what is playing out. You now understand the game. You will now appreciate why those who are controlling the army, who are controlling the navy, who are controlling the air force, who are controlling the police are no longer threatening you. Rather, they are now begging you to see reason to remain in war. You can now understand there is a sudden change of tune and mood from Nigeria is indefensible. The army cannot fold their hands and watch Nigeria divide. Nobody is talking that trash any longer. Everybody is now sounding on the part of pacifism. Everybody is now trying to play the good game. They are no longer letting you know what their armies could do, how they can crush us, what their efforts can do, because international pressure is involved. I hope you can now appreciate how these guys have been forcefully shifted from their arrogance, and now they are trying to. These guys are no longer telling you what their army could see. They are no longer telling you to see how devastating their armies could be. They are no longer telling you how their DSS is going to crush you. They are now trying to tell you diplomatically, IPOB has won more friends than them. Yes. They are no longer talking about their military assets. They are not talking about unity assets. Isn't that a surprise to you? Isn't that impelling? Is that not sending a message to you? That even the likes of Tinubu, who is arrogant, is rude when it comes to handling the Igbo Biafrans corpse, is now preaching for us to be one. That thing that made these arrogant people to start sounding to be good boys must be on earth in a short time. That thing that made these guys who were telling us a few years ago, a few months ago, how they will crush us, how they will deal with us, how they will siege everywhere, to not turn back and start preaching the sermon of let us not divide, instead of the language of Nigeria is indivisible. The language is no longer Nigeria is indivisible. Nobody can divide Nigeria. The language now is that, please, let us not destroy what our forefathers, which to the best of my knowledge, my forefathers were not involved in the formation of the evil entity, is no longer divisible. Nobody can do it. Is now, please, let us not destroy what. Oh, please, cannot come out from the mouth of these arrogant fellows, born to rule elements, and their Yoruba psychopaths. So we must be watchful. We must be watchful, used and done. We must be watchful to understand there is no iota of humility in Osibanjo. There is no iota of humility in Tinubu. There is no iota of humility in Atiku. There is no iota of humility in anyone that is telling you that you should see reason for us to be one. Please, their sudden humility, their sudden change is as a result of the international pressure they are getting. You cannot see them, they are now wearing Igbo's attires. Tinubu is now an expert in wearing Igbo regalia. Nobody is not threatening us to crush us. Now that we have defeated, please, Biafrans, we must be wise. If we destroy what we have got, is not gotten by gossip. A lot of people gave in their lives for the stage where we are today. And will betide us if we allow the sweet talk of these people to water down our demand for freedom, we ever regret it as a people. There is no humility in Tinubu. Why Tinubu is sounding to be a good guy is because he has had too many words of warning from international community, and he's now wearing Igbo Ishiago here and there. Please, and please. Socrates said something. He said, unexamined life is not worth living. Very, very important. I repeat, unexamined life is not worth living. We must examine every single word of hypocrisy that is coming out from the mouths of these guys. Even though they lie, let them change their name to Chike, to Chika, to Nnamdi Kanu. If Tinubu lies, let us start answering Tinubu Chukwode, Chimobi. We must be careful and watchful, because these guys are now under pressure, and they are now looking at us that perhaps in our church mind, as some people will say, now they can easily walk over us. So we must remain wise. We must remain watchful. We must remain watchful. Very, very important. Very, very important. So that we will not rubbish, we will not destroy what we have labored for. Forget why you see them sounding pacifists. Sounding to be pacifists is as a result of the diplomatic headways we have made. Very, very important. If we have not made any serious diplomatic headways, Tinubu would have not won Ishiago. Osibanjo wouldn't have been telling you about let us remain together, please. They would have been warning you and start showing you what Buratai could do. They would have started telling you about Operation Python dance, Operation Ruga dance, and this Operation that. So we must remain watchful. Very, very important. Very, very important that we remain watchful. Ahead and keep on campaigning. Let them go ahead and keep on telling people they need for us to remain one. Let them go ahead wearing our Ishiago, wearing our staff. Do they like? Let them stop chewing gari. Let them start swallowing gari like us. They like happy those gari instead of a theater. We should not be distracted by those dramas of the day. It's just a comic display. So we must remain focused. We must remain disciplined. And of course, we must understand that even when Biafra is restored, we have the duty and the responsibility to work for the right positioning of this great nation in Africa geopolitics and global geopolitics. Very, very important. Because you can see those who own Python hands are now trying to tell us that their Python is no longer effective. That they now have begging hands. But we must say no to such deceptive tendency. Very, very important. Very, very important. I don't know, network is so disturbing. I try to bring some persons in for discussion, but I don't know. I don't know why the network is not allowing that to be done. See? So, but nevertheless, we must see what we'll do. We'll keep on trying. Some people are even declaring the stop. So that is it. We must remain focused. When your killer, my brother, look twice. Look well. So that is it. I believe those who advised them earlier never told them that IPOB and Biafra struggle is going to last days. Never. I never think. They were not told. That I believe. They felt it's something they should just share money to the leadership of IPOB, and hopefully everybody will just forget about it. They thought it's something when they intimidate us, harass Mazenam, then he will solve better. But surprisingly, then very, very important. What they are seeing today is bigger than their targets, is bigger than their calculation. So we must not allow ourselves to be deceived by the chameleonic display of our oppressors. We must remain resolute, we must remain focused, and at the end, Biafra will come. We must thank our leader who, despite different attempts to lure him into abandoning this project, refused to allow the project to see corruption. Yes, ndewo maazị. Ndewo ke ka o si aga.
Good evening. I'm waiting from Dakar, Senegal.
Okay, ndewo.
You have said it all. The pressure is on them. Just like our Lord, Mazinan Khan said that time will Time will come. They will be the one to call us for negotiation. And then we will say, we always set agenda. So that is why everything is said here 100% accurate. So the main thing now is that we must continue with our struggle. The struggle continues until that referendum is granted. Then we will vote in favor of Biafra restoration and we will go in our separate way. Just as our leader always says, we will still help them. But I keep telling our members that if these people will continue with this intimidation, there will be a time that we will not even consider any international relationship, any assistant to Nigeria, Arewa, or Utuwa. But they have time. There is time for them now. There is time for them now to consider their steps, for us to have that further election, just like Senegal, Gambia, Kenya, Mali, Guinea, and the rest of them. Otherwise, if they continue like this, there will be a time that Biafra will be, our border will be like Israel and Palestinian. So they have time now. Just like I said now, we love peace. We love peace. And I believe that no matter what, our leader has said is that all that they are dying for, we will hand it over to the United Nations. But we don't need the oil. What we need is the knowledge God gave us. Understand me? So I want to use this video to encourage our sister Efe, everybody that is contributing 100% to this struggle. Remain resolute. I want to take some people to thank our leader for the light he brought us. And every IPOB member, even our enemies are coming up now. Not to go Caribbean. Continue to my brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mazi Chimezie. Yes, our brother said it. We must remain focused. Like we said, we felt they were going to sustain the offensive attack are now going defensive. And those who were taught to be on the defensive are now offensive. And it's really wonderful, it's really marvelous before our own very eyes. So we must continue, and I believe for those of us who have areas of contribution, and this platform is for us and not other thing than for our freedom cause. So come in, you air your view, and nobody is going to get a court order of 45 days detention because you said something. That's not the way Biafra is going to be. Biafra is going to be a very Biafra is going to represent in Africa what Israel is representing in Middle East. You know, one thing Israel stands out in Middle East as. Middle East is known as a theocratic state. Yes, theocratic state in the sense that there is no secular nation in Middle East. Constitution. You know, the Quran guides the doings of the people of Middle East. It is only Israel that stands out to be not just a democratic nation in midst of theocratic states, but a secular state. Very, very important. And that is, today, Middle East is receiving the little light they are receiving because of the presence of Israel. And that is exactly what Geopolitical wants to do in Africa. Africa is a dark continent, no doubt about it. Africa is a retrogressive continent. Shockingly, every continent of the earth has a representative in developed economic team. What I mean is that every continent of the world have a country in them that you can say this country at least is representing this continent when it comes to team of developed nation. Here, for instance, when you come to North America, Canada is there representing them. US is there representing them. Then Mexico could be as well said to be belonging to a developing nation. Now, when you come to Asia, Japan is there. Even some of the Asian tigers are already representing Asia. Though we have developing nations or poor nations like Bangladesh and that rest of them, but we could have one or two countries in Asia that are representing the rest of them, that whenever you want to talk down on Asian continent, you will remember that at least Japan is progressive. You know, whenever you want to talk down on Asia continent, at least you can remember that Japan is there, China is there, Asian tigers are there, and that rest of them. Now, in Oceania, even in same Asia, you can see you cannot talk without talking about Israel. In Oceania, you look at New Zealand, you look at Australia. You look at New Zealand, you look at Australia. And you can see them. When you come to South America, at least you can talk about the progress of Brazil. At least when you come to South America, you can look at the progress of Brazil. And for the sake of Brazil, you can now say at least, no need of talking outright down on Southern American region. But when you come to Africa, tell me one single country you can see or you can say belongs to developed economies. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. But with the coming of state of Biafra, at least Africa will now have a representative among the team of developed economy. Middle East was nowhere until, Middle East was nowhere to be reckoned until the arrival of Israel in 1948. So very, very important we understand this. So Africa needs Biafra for them to record their renaissance. Every continent have experienced her own renaissance, her own reformation, her own industrial revolution. Every continent, virtually every continent, except Africa. And believe you me, reformation, renaissance, industrial revolution are internally driven force. What do I mean? You need a responsible nation in midst of the retrogressive nation or irresponsible ones to encourage the irresponsible ones to start working. That is how it works. Why Asia is where she is today is because Japan decided to go for the light. She got the light and lit others. America picked it and lit the Americas. Who has gotten the light in Africa? Absolutely none. None. The only time Africa would have experienced such renaissance would have been from 1967 to 1970, that we saw an African-made military equipment. We saw an African-made Epos. We saw an African-made drugs in Biafran soil. We saw an African-made military industrial complex. But guess what? In the jealousy of African nations, in the conspiracy of the international community, growing renaissance was suppressed. And since then, Africa has never been the same. And that's why I believe that in Biafra, Africa died. But let me equally say this. Because we just have to say this. Everything, I believe that nothing happens. That is my personal belief. I believe that nothing happens without Chukwuka Biama's knowledge. That is my belief. And I believe on my own, this is a personal belief or subscription, that if Biafra had been a sovereign state in 1970, we might not favorably compete among Committee of Nations. Why do I say this? Israel is competing favorably because of the experience of the diaspora Jews. You know, as a result of their wide coverage within the global geography, Israel started from 1948, and within a short period of time, she started measuring up with even Britain and United States that started hundreds of years, or years, decades ahead of her, simply because of the impact of the diaspora Jews. And I believe Chukwuka Biama permits us to get Biafra this time, haven't allowed the war and the aftermath of the war to force us to travel globally, so that when we have this nation, within 10 years, with our international expertise, we can now be driving a nation that will be meeting up with even those who were there before her. And that is the secret of Israel. You understand it? Because why Israel is making impact, why Israel did not traditionally observe rigidly the Rostow hypothesis of development is because Israel has a global citizens blending up with the local citizens. And that gave birth to the mixture of continental brains. And that's why there's no country Israel cannot operate Islam and live. Because there is no part of the world she does not have a diaspora Israeli. Having a mastery over that country is unique. And that is exactly the dimension we are moving. Because with those of us all over the world, they have given birth to Biafrans in blood, but different color on skin. Now, let me tell you why we are going to run the best intelligence agency in the world. For those of us who might not know about this, there is no country we cannot penetrate, because we have our sons and daughters who have given birth to Biafran sons, who don't have my color, who don't have my look. They have looks of different continents, different nations. And guess what? Anything you want from these countries, either through covert or overt operation, these Biafrans in a foreign look will get it for you. You cannot understand when Bible says something, when the book of Jeremiah said that Israel is like a sparkling bed. You cannot understand that Biafra is like a sparkling bed, according to how Jeremiah described or prophesied. Sparkling, not with monocolor, not with one single look. Because it is only Biafran nation, as I speak to you now, in the whole Africa that has citizens will look like every continent of the world. Only her in Africa. Only her in Africa. Only her in Africa that we have citizens of hers that will have same look like any part of the world. Do you see how she's going to create an active participation in the international community? Because when you talk about getting Biafran mission in Malaysia, you cannot send someone that looks like me to Malaysia. We have, Malaysian Biafrans. We have Biafran children fathered by a Biafran father and a Malaysian mother. So when you want, and this child whose father is from Biafra and mother is from Malaysia, owes his allegiance and loyalty to his father's land. And if he's part of Biafra Intelligence Agency or M branch, and he's expected to pick a sensitive information in Malaysia for his nation, if he enters Malaysian sensitive department, hardly will anybody detect him. If I go, you will know I'm an African. But if he misses up, if he blends up, we will even know. And that is the jealousy of the world. That is what the world has taken a careful analysis on. This is what global experts have understood it. They have studied it. They have gone to laboratory. They have taken a social scientific study of this, and they are scared of the imagined nation called Biafra. So if you think when you talk about Biafra, you're looking at me, no, because the only country, as I speak to you, that is going to have the human resources to penetrate any part of the world unnoticed. Israel doesn't even have that capability. Israel can only walk through proxy. Israel doesn't have the sophisticated human resources we have. I will explain to you why I said Israel doesn't have it. If Israel wants to operate effectively, if Mossad wants to operate effectively in any African society, she has to do that through a proxy. What do I mean by through a proxy? She has to contract the local people, a local fellow, to do that for them. And sometimes the local person might do what we call double game. Might be a double agent, reporting to his home country and equally working for Mossad. It does happen, it has happened. Israel doesn't have that capability. But it's only Biafra that, even though we want to enter Ghana and we don't want to use let me say, a typical Biafra, permit my word or my choice of word, we can fetch a Ghanaian Biafra. We can fetch a Biafran citizen whose mother is from Ghana and the father is from Biafra. And he will do it. Even though you say you don't want to get a pure Biafran blood, you want to get a mixed blood. So you can now understand how sophisticated, how glorious, and how dangerous this imagination is. That the world is now marveling at the deepness of human resource at the disposal of this imagination. Now, miraculously, God never allowed these human resources. These are our kids, these are our children. God forbid them consciously. There is a hand that made them not to enter Nigeria at this moment, so that Nigeria will not understand the importance of these human resources. Because if these children are back, Nigeria can easily pick any of them and send to Singapore, and he will speak the Singapore language effectively, because his father is from Biafra and his mother is from Singapore, and he grew up. But God blinded the zoo from seeing the potentials, the resources which he has for his kingdom that is coming. You know, most times God will deliberately hide the resources so that the wrong people cannot enjoy from it. Most times God will decide to hide a great treasure so that it will not be for the betterment of the evil and the wicked ones. That's exactly how God has hid the Biafran potentials. Even those who are being somehow detected by the Nigerian state, and you know, they are being taken to work for Nigeria. You see them making errors that people keep wondering are the special people they told us of. These guys are not destined by the Most High. Enjoy the potentials in us. So the network has been so bad. I try as much as possible. It wasn't going through. So I think at this are coming to the end of this program. We must remain watchful. We must remain resolute. Very, very important. And indeed, at the time, at the end, Biafra will come. So from here, I say good night.